there. So this is the non-massage Aromatouch technique, and it is amazing, and it has some special things that it does, and we're going to talk about some things that you probably haven't heard before. I hope you haven't heard before. But these are some of the things that you can expect with this non-massage, deep tissue and nerve and all over body support experience of the Aromatouch countdown to better health. And I'm going to mute you right now, Irina. So you can ask yourself, do you deal with pain, head tension, stiff muscles, low energy, sleep issues, stomach and digestive issues? Because if you do, then your body is out of balance. And so we want to promote a new level of health and balance and energy. And if you're finding it hard to stay present, or maybe the future is worrying you, or perhaps past health challenges are keeping you up at night and you wonder what's going to happen next. So there are 4 systemic constants to address with this Aromatouch, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Is we're going to address these 4 systemic constants that we need to have in order to reach homeostasis. And so all these body systems have different ways that they reach homeostasis, and we're going to utilize kind of some Eastern medicine that's attached to this, and why this is going to work for the body. So we can calm down our brains, so we can calm down our bodies and have the support that we need on an everyday basis. So here we go for the next 30 years, number 16. We're going to have zones and regions that we talk about, and I'm only going to mention the meridians right now, which are 5 meridians. So we have zones, and then we have regions, and the regions are the meridians, and they are Eastern medicine. And so the nose is one, and it cleanses toxins, and it gives us strength in the Eastern ways of thinking, and that's why the aromas are so important, and why when you smell them, even when you're doing the Aromatouch, it's such a great thing, because it's actually cleansing as you're having this massage or this technique experience. The inner eye, they consider, is the hormones and nutrients, and if you consider what's behind the inner eye is the amygdala, and that's in charge of your hormones. Right? And so, and if you have the right hormones going on, then the nutrients that you need are going to come to your body, and your body's going to be able to utilize them, because the hormones will trigger what needs to be added into your body so that the body can receive the nutrients it needs. The outer eye also is a support of hormones and nutrients, and that, if you think about that being part of your olfactories itself. Olfactories are awesome because of how they regenerate, and the tissues regenerate on a consistent basis. It's one of the very few places that regenerate when they smell something that's helpful to the body. And so we have vitamin D absorption that we also need to consider in all of this, and that happens with the outer eye. And if you go outside and you're in the sunshine, and I hope you're getting that in your lives, sometimes it's kind of hard right now, but spend 10 minutes outside, or even if you can optimize that and add some little circulation and really get some blood circulating and do some good aerobic exercise for 30 minutes a day, you'll help reduce Alzheimer's by 50% in your body. So hearing is another thing, is sensitivity to sounds and organs. So that's another thing that we want to address in this, is to kind of reduce that sensitivity so that your body can stay in this homeostasis. And then, of course, helping the organs function more, have the support they need to function properly. And then the hands are considered balanced from the heart, which is interesting because they also have all of your hands, your ears, your back, all have, and your feet, all have acupressure or acupuncture points. And I think the body has over 200, I can't remember the exact number right now, over 200 points of acupressure points where you can access different parts of the body. And in Eastern medicine, they're looking at the body as a continual round, that you have the circulation that continually moves. And if something's blocking it, that's what acupuncture or acupressure will address, is opening those. And so does a massage, and so does this Aromatouch technique. So number 16 again. So now we have the autonomic imbalance and what you can do. We have the olfactories and the regenerative experience that happen in the olfactories themselves, the regeneration of cells. So you're going to move towards homeostasis as you use these. You'll have an imbalance normally in the autonomic nervous system, and it's known as ANS, or visceral nervous systems, can impact health negatively. And so we want to have a positive impact on your central nervous system. And that's what this does. And how it does that is it helps us with feelings of anxiousness or nervousness. It helps us to uplift mood. It eases the breathing and energizes and revitalizes. And so you get all those experiences with this wild orange and peppermint, and we do it in the zones. So the zones that we talk about are there are zones on the hands and there are zones on the feet. And normally with the Aromatouch, we think about the zones on the back too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are the different zones, and they are helping to open up all of these areas so that we can have the circulation that we're looking for. So next one, for the systemic things that we were talking about at the beginning, the 4 systemic constants. This is the next one. And so it's swelling and inflammation that we deal with in the body, right? And so when a tissue experiences bacteria or toxins or trauma, damage can affect the surrounding areas as well because of the swelling and other things that happen there. And it's harmful to the body's autonomic balance because of the soreness and the pain that results. And so we can do things to lessen that and to support those cells so that they can be less inflamed and have less swelling to support that. And one of the oils that does it so well is Aromatouch. And I'd just like Mark to talk a little bit about Aromatouch and what it's done for him. If he doesn't, I put him on the spot, so I don't know.
Well,
I want to talk about your hands.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Awesome.
She mentioned hands, and that's a really important part. And for me, I very early on in my life, I started experiencing some arthritic pain in my hands when I was in my 40s.
Yeah, it deals with it's a family thing, right? So we have genetic things that we have to deal with.
And I just thought, well, I guess that's my my lot in life. I'll carry that burden. And then also I'm a mountain biker, and I crashed one time and damaged my hand, and I was having a lot of trouble with it. And then Cynthia introduced me to Aromatouch, and all of the oils that are in Aromatouch have been just fantastic for my hands. And I went from particularly with this hand that I injured, and only being able to clench that much, even months after the accident, to now I've got almost a full range of motion. So it's fantastic.
And you wouldn't be able to see the difference, but he had a ring on this hand that literally he couldn't get off. I mean, at all. It was just going to have to be with cut it off kind of thing. And we used the Aromatouch and completely removed enough swelling and inflammation so that could be removed. And that was pretty big because it was pretty amazing, actually, because we tried a lot of things and it wouldn't come off. So these are some of the plants in the 2 oils that we're talking about. One's Aromatouch and the other is the Deep Blue. Okay, so here we are with number 14, and it's the Aromatouch. So Aromatouch is part of, again, this 4 systemic constants that we're talking about. So the first one we've already talked about, the second one we've talked about, and part of that is this Aromatouch that we just talked about. So it eases the aches in joints, and it has cypress leaf, very well known for circulation. Peppermint, another really big circulation aid, and another is marjoram. These are all things that really help increase circulation. Grapefruit peel is great for getting out extra liquid in the body that you don't need. And then, of course, lavender, we know, eases a lot of those pain issues. So here we are to Deep Blue. Deep Blue calms tension and increases circulation. We know that. It relieves muscle soreness. It's like having a deep tissue massage for a lot of people just by putting Deep Blue on. And then if you add the circulation by just rubbing a little bit to it, right? So even if we're not talking about specifically the Aromatouch process, which we are, but this will help with that. And so it'll soothe and comfort, and it's got wintergreen and camphor and peppermint, all these wonderful things that help support that in the body. So now we're going to go to the next systemic constant, and that's to support immune and toxin insults. Okay, so when you have these toxic insults, the proper functioning of the immune system can easily be hampered by the number of environmental, dietary, and pathogenic factors. I don't have a comma in there. Exposure to these contributes to the weakening of the immune system and causes the body to work harder to maintain proper health. So anytime we have these kind of, problems, toxic insults to the body, right? And we have all these free radicals flowing around in us. And then we have thousands of environmental toxins that we deal with. They weaken the body. And so we need to do something to support the body so that we can have what we need to maintain the proper health. And all this is always to create that homeostasis. We're trying to get our bodies to have open circulation and complete capability, like we do in Eastern medicine, to have a body that's functioning all the time. So On Guard is great. It's a great one for strong immune response. Now that's a lot. And we all need it right now, don't we? It supports a healthy immune function when used internally and contains cleansing properties. So right now, Mark's been dealing a lot with I think a little under the weather. I think he's just pushing really hard. And so I'm like, please take the On Guard caps because they make a big difference for him. I've noticed with me, if I use Digestin caps, the same way he uses the On Guard caps, then that's the one that my body responds to really well. But right now we're talking about On Guard. I use it every day. I used it at least 4 or 5 times today. I was out a bit. I get up in the morning and I'll pop a little, beadlet or two, and then I use it in my toothpaste, and Mark uses it in his mouthwash, and we use it so frequently we kind of forget how much we're using it. But we're going to talk a little bit more about how we want to use that here too. And then the next is tea tree or melaleuca, right? Melaleuca. So I loved this little factoid about that it was used as the first aid kind of, I don't know what you call it.
The go-to
first aid.
Duct tape of
the duct tape of the world, the Australian soldiers in World War I and World War II for everything, right? So they're like, oh, it helps for this, and oh, it helps for this, and oh, it helps support this, and oh, it helps support these things to help you so you'll be stronger and healthier. And so it was found for both wars. So that's a long period of time that Australia used that, and they still use it a lot in ways that we don't in the United States, that they found that works in a complementary way, in a complementary way with Eastern and Western medicines. So it's known for its purifying qualities. And I know for me, it's really interesting. I dealt with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue for many years. And one of my first symptoms that will happen for me is I will get this kind of, the best I can say is it feels like I'm getting a sore throat. And it's always right here in my lymph nodes. And I've noticed if I just put the tea tree right there on it at night, it's gone by morning. So it's awesome. All right, so these are just things you can use separately, all right? And now we're getting down to our next systemic constant, and these are stress support and management. So if you notice, there are 2 oils for every area, and we'll talk about why in just a minute. So stress support and management. I don't know if you can see the pictures, but can we move that so you can see the pictures, Mark? Whoops.
We can see
that. Okay, so elevated stress levels have been shown in clinical studies to cause negative consequences to health. So if you know what that means, that's another way of saying is when the body is not functioning properly and when there are things outside that are causing negative effects to the way that we're approaching our lives, then it is also difficult for the body. And so if we're going to have support for these things, then we need to do everything we can to help support the body. And one of the nicest things we can do is to just add a little bit of these essential oils to help relieve some of the pressure that we experience. Lavender, great. It helps provide us feelings of tranquility and improves our skin health and lessens our feelings of stress. It soothes occasional skin irritations. Some people use it for mosquito bites. They found it being very, very helpful for that. For me, I use it. It's in the kitchen all the time for burns. So you can take it internally, but like right now, we're just talking about the external use and how it's going to open up those meridians in your body and all the zones in the body so that you can have that wonderful circulatory experience. Okay, here we go with balance. It also helps the circulatory experience to be increased. Fun little factoid studies is how fast it moves through the body and how you can know the change within a minute after you take it. You can follow it through the bloodstream and see how it actually moves so easily. It's a grounding blend, and it's named Balance for its tranquil aroma. So it makes us feel calm just by smelling it. And that's really important because remember, we're talking about the stress factors and how they affect our hormonal levels. And then we end up with extra problems with maybe some visceral fat or other things that we deal with because we're under a lot of extra fight or flight in our lives. So we aren't experiencing life the best the way we can. All right, so number 6, the support of the body zones and regions. So we have 10 zones and we have 5 meridians. And each of these 10 zones we talk about in Aromatouch. On the feet have 5 regions, and then they have 5 feet zones. And the back has back zones as well. And so you have those, and then you also have them in your hands. So if you look at your hands, you have regions on your hands. You have 1, 2, 3 regions, and then you have 5 zones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're going to do a hand massage, and you can look online and see how to do these. So we're not going to go into the how, we're just going to go into the why today. But if you're trying to figure out why you're doing that, these we can talk about why you want to do that, like what you need to do with the hand one to make it effective. It's not always in the online, so we may go into that. We'll see if we are going to or not. But so here we go with this. So we're going to increase the energy as we get into these zones. So we have the meridian zone 1. We talked about that at the beginning, remember, the nose. And we also talked about the inner eye and the outer eye. And those are all the meridians that we're dealing with. And what are we going to experience? We're going to have some restful brain activity. And when we do that, and that you can experience that with an Aromatouch. So the cumulative effect of aromas. Now we've talked a bit about aromas, but we're looking for homeostasis. We're looking for that balance. We're looking for that bottom line where we're feeling energetic, but we're also feeling calm. And those are the 2 areas we want, but we also want immune support. We want to feel less pain issues in our body. We want to feel an overall sense of more groundedness. And that is what will happen with this Aromatouch technique. And even in smelling these oils as they go into us, they affect those olfactories. We know they help reduce the response to like PTSD issues because that is directly affected only by utilizing smells. So if we can reform the factors in the brain that associate negatively with certain effects in life experiences so that we can come out on the other end with support instead, then we're lessening the effects of overall problems that we deal with in day-to-day life. And so that's one of the cumulative effects of just the aromas alone. If you just smelled these oils and you kind of add one at a time and just were smelling them. I love to come out of a room after I've done the Aromatouch. I just feel so energized. I just feel so balanced. And I feel like, well, I know I've actually had my own Aromatouch technique experience because I've been using my hands. And the hands have all of the acupressure points that I need to have that experience. I love it more if I can have someone give it to me, but I tend to be the giver and not the receiver on that a lot.
And it's very different than a massage.
Yeah.
It's yeah, if you've never had an Aromatouch, it's a very different experience from a massage. But it opens up all those meridians and all these things that Cynthia's been talking about, and really, I don't know, it's kind of a whole body experience. It's really quite unique.
For the people who deal with a lot of sensitivity, like skin sensitivity, or they have a lot of muscle sensitivity, or they're dealing with a lot of those kinds of problems, to have an Aromatouch technique is actually more agreeable than doing a massage, because they can't tolerate the touch, the deep touch that often happens with that. Thank you, Irina. So Irina is showing that she got her Aromatouch technique thing. Is my drink over there? And these are just some of the things that you'll experience. I'm not going to go into any of these, all right? Just read through them as quickly as you can. And if you've had one, and maybe if you've experienced that, you'll know what we're talking about. I often get people that want to have them specifically when they're dealing with high levels of anxiousness that they've reached, or if their body's just not relaxing like it should, and they just need to, open their lungs, or they're just dealing with the end of an illness or something. They just want to pull out of that and have the real support. So Dr. Hill, who is the Chief Medical Officer of doTERRA, is the one who created this. And he talks about these different things, the effect of just the aromas and the effect of layering. So we'll just go into layering just a little bit. So we often talk about putting all the things together, right? But the effect of layering is really interesting. So if you start with balance, balance helps, what they say is, pull the oils into the body. So if you start with balance, you're actually helping the oils move into the body fast. Remember, we talked about the circulation is increased with using balance. So you put that on first, and then you put something soothing like a lavender over it, and the body just responds to that so nicely. And we use the acupressure points on the ears, so that you remember, we were talking about for the ears, that zone. So I'm just going to read it. It helps reduce the sensitivities that we might have to outward manifestations that are happening in our lives, the stressors that we have, that we deal with. So we're going to reduce that significantly by putting it there. And then we have the next are ones that are going to go deeply into the body, because now we've taken care of some of the inflammatory responses with the lavender and the balance. Now we're going to pull those through with the Melaleuca and the On Guard, and we're doing just a light layering effect. So we're in effect circulating them into the body, right? And then we're going to add the Aromatouch after we've done the On Guard and the Melaleuca. When we really kind of moved them into the body, we're going to add the Aromatouch. What's going to just kind of even deeper, going to remove those pain issues. You remember, it's going to give us more of a sense of just relaxing. I think it's very relaxing. In fact, many times when I get to the Aromatouch and Deep Blue, a lot of people will fall asleep. That's when they fall asleep, because their bodies are finally, not in so much tension and not in so much pain issues that they can't relax. And so it's very, very relaxing at that point. And then we're going to move into the orange, the wild orange, and the peppermint. And peppermint is the last. And why we do that is it pushes, if it's like the final push, it's called a hot oil, and it's very strong. And it's a final push, but it also is like a capstone. So it keeps the oils in to the body. If you try to put oils on top of something that's as hot as that works as deep as the peppermint, it'll stop the other oils from going into the body, right? So if you put the wild orange on prior, or it doesn't work quite so well. So anyway, so you have that is kind of the capstone, and it's also just the orange and the peppermint are known for just creating a sense of, immediate kind of homeostasis, kind of a more balanced, more aware, less anxiousness, all those things. So that's what the effects of layering is. And the neat thing is you find yourself with a lot more flexibility as well, because flexibility happens a lot when your body muscles aren't in so much tension. They naturally will be more flexible. And so the question is, what can you use and why would you want to look at all these different things? And before I mentioned that, if you had, it's been a few slides back, but if you have the Family Essentials kit, you have all the oils except peppermint, coconut, wild orange, and balance. So that's not very much. Not balance, 4 oils. And you have the rest of them to do your own Aromatouch technique, which is fantastic. But if you want to get the whole kit, which I like to kind of have both, but you don't have to do that. You can just add 2 and get your coconut oil, which is awesome. I think this has coconut oil. We'll have to change that one. But coconut oil is fantastic by itself. It's rejuvenating. It's great for the skin. It's very helpful for just in and of itself. It has healing properties and helps support the natural healing capabilities of the body. And peppermint shouldn't have that, but just the wild orange. So it's coconut oil, wild orange, Aromatouch should be the other one that has a question mark by it, not the peppermint. And you just add those other ones in and you'll have everything you need. So the total cost for one is $146.67 for retail, but you can save tons if you do the wholesale. And you can also get loyalty rewards and you'll be able to utilize that to even reduce it more. You could even purchase it on a loyalty rewards totally if you've got all of those points added up, and then you'll have your own Aromatouch kit, and you can do it on a bed, a kitchen table, but I like to do mine on a massage table. I think it's much more comfortable for most people. And I just brought this one in again. I said this a while ago, but we can get by, right? We can get by in life. But why do we just want to get by? Don't we want to really be alive? Don't we want to really do more than just survive? We can deprive ourselves. We can slump by. We can, eat our double slurpy, gulpy things. Or we can have lots more joy and energy. And that's what we can experience by rejuvenating our bodies and helping us support those systems that we talked about on a daily basis. We can have, you can have Aromatouch once a week. You can have twice a week, but usually you don't want to do much more than that, just for the sake of your body having that much oil go into it at one time. You need some time for it to heal, and from that, right? Or I guess I would say it better. You need a time for it to circulate, assimilate, to assimilate and circulate through the body and remove from the body, so you can have an abundant and jazzed up life. So thank you for being here. So glad you're here today. And we will do tons more in the future. And we're going to go off our recording now so that we can move into questions.